All right, folks, welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm Carl Higbee. As these details about the Uvalde, Texas gunman continue to emerge, it's like time and time again, we see the same pattern here. Questions about this behavior prior to the shooting are re-examined. I mean, it's unbelievable. These thoughts that are paired with the extreme grief, obviously, that has led many parents to wonder about these red flags that some of them breaking laws, like shooting people with a BB gun, it went unaddressed.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning. I'm Katrina Zish. And for more on this, we're going to welcome in the first Green Beret to serve in Congress, member of the House Armed Services Committee and Florida Congressman Michael Waltz. Michael, welcome, and thanks for being with us bright and early this morning.
Yeah, good to be with you.
All right. So, Congressman, you were first elected in 2018, the same year that 17 people lost their lives during that sickening high school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Tell us about how a tragedy like that can impact an entire state.
It really did impact every corner of Florida in that tragedy, and in many ways still does. And I would expect that this tragedy in West Texas will have that same effect. Many of us got to know some of the parents. Some of them became activists on many sides of the issue. Many children from that school also demanded different types of change. In the wake of it, the Florida State Legislature passed a number of measures. I think one of the most important was the Guardian program, which authorizes school systems and provides funding and training for them to have armed, mainly retired police and military, but armed school officers in our schools to protect our kids.
Yeah, Congressman, big thing here, though. You have dozens of people killed every weekend in places like Chicago, Detroit, D.C.,
Yep.
L.A., New York City. I mean, all bastions of the liberal utopias of gun control. And we don't have this outrage. I mean, with far more, and I'm not diminishing the tragedy in Uvalde, but why isn't there any outrage over those things? It's only when it seems to fit a political narrative do they pounce on this.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And particularly this year when so many of the left's policies are failing. It was really sad and sickening to see Beto really grandstand and try to politicize the event in the middle of just informing parents. And we can see now there was a real issue with the details of what happened and why it happened and what the response was. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Every child who is murdered, every child who dies from violence is sickening and sad. And you're right, we should be outraged across the board. And those are bastions of gun control. And so, as I'm sure you guys have been discussing on this great show, there are really deep societal issues that we have to address. And there's not some magic solution in Washington, D.C. That if we would only just pass some bill, it's going to fix it all. I think we need communities, families, municipalities. We need people to come together and really try to figure out what the heck is going on, that 18-year-olds repeatedly want to go kill young children, regardless of the weapon they're holding.
Well, it's like, what law can you pass to make criminals abide by laws?
Well, precisely. Again, if someone is intent on doing evil, they will find a way to carry out their evil. Unless, perhaps, as citizens, we also become more educated on how to find those red flags and then to alert authorities. And I'm not talking about adults. I'm not talking about the grown-ups in a community. I'm talking about the kids. How can we educate children, whether they're from elementary school up through teens, to actually, again, when you see something, say something? How can we teach them and empower them to do that?
But two points there, and this is one of the reasons I'm a big advocate of getting us back to national service. You get young people out together, off their phones, off their couches.
Yes.
Leadership, teamwork, followership, discipline, serving a cause bigger than themselves, and doing it with other kids that may not share their view or their background or different race, religion, social, economic background. We need to get back to that. But back to your point on Parkland and see something, say something, it turned out from the investigation that shooter had basically repeatedly demonstrated and said on various social media forums what he was going to do, and to various people. He was reported to school officials, to local law enforcement, and even to the FBI, and nothing was done about it. So I think we'll have a lot of lessons to learn out of this shooting as well. But apparently we as a society are not learning what we need to learn and taking the corrective action that we need to take.
Well, Congressman, it looks like you have a very measured stance on this, and for that, many people are extremely grateful. On a lighter note, sir, go Navy.
Yeah. Hey, I named my newborn son Army, so we're yelling go around the house.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on that, Congressman Michael Waltz. We appreciate you being here.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.